apologize. If we are currently connected, and if we're not, we can run this TCP/IP connect. Now the parameters here, socket 3, remote IP 10.2.2.26. This is the IP address of my computer. I'm sorry, again, this is the IP address of my computer, and remote port 20257. This is the one we defined in the data export project. Okay, and so when we run this, we want to reset memory bit 2 as well, because this is a single scan condition. We don't continuously want to run the TCP/IP connect, otherwise we'll continuously start it, and we won't actually be able to use our connection. In the following net, we have the positive transition of MB3. Remember, this is the one we defined in our data export to set. And if we are connected and MB3 is high, we'll close socket 3. Okay, so let me download this to the controller. Okay, I actually have the project in there already. I'm going to go ahead and run this project. You must save before you can run. Okay. Give me 1 sec. I think I need to just open that one more time. So ours was test with Ethernet. Okay. Let me just save it again. And they seem to be freezing up. I apologize for this. Let me give me 1 more second to close this. Okay, 1 more try. Let's put it in run mode. Good. So, we're now listening. I'm going to go to VisiLogic here. Maybe I can keep this one open and minimize this one a little bit. I'm going to go online with the controller. I want to keep this in sight, and we'll keep our system bit 150 in view as well. So we'll see when we've created a connection. Right now this bit's low, so we don't have a connection. I'll go ahead and set MB1, which will set MB2 and create our connection. And we should see that we do download the data table, and then we'll set memory bit 3 and disconnect from the controller, or the controller would disconnect from the PC. So we see now in the call log, the call status, call succeeded. The call trigger was PLC Ethernet call. Okay, and we'll go ahead and look at our folder. And we see our third data table download here. Now, again, I have to stress how important this idea is. If you wish to have the PLC initiate the data table download, this is how we do it. And again, if we want to get away from a time-based event to a event-based event, we need to use this. We can use TCP over GPRS, of course. We can do it over the wireless cellular network, or we can do it over the internet. We can have the PLC across the country or across the world. It's going to be the same. So this is a very powerful option. Again, we briefly took a look here at a TCP/IP connect and a TCP/IP close, and it's not very difficult to work with these. Do we have any questions? Okay, so there's one question: why do we set and reset MB2? We use this this technique here as kind of a latch or a sample and hold. What we're doing with this structure is, once we have our positive transition of MB1, so our bit goes high, whether it's an input or a comparison statement, the output is a bit going high. We're going to use that to set MB2. Now MB2 is going to stay high, and it's going to wait until it does a check. Is the card there? Is the socket initialized? And is the socket already connected? Now, this is a structure we like to use whenever we do communication. Which you'll see in the communication side is a system busy bit. And if a system busy bit is high, we're going to use it to disable some communication, some send or connect. So basically what we're going to do is wait to see if the statements are true, then perform the task. I'll give you a better example in communication. Modbus, for example, if we have an event that says read from controller 2, but we currently are in the middle of a Modbus read, maybe from controller 3, if we simply use a positive transition in the read command, we'll miss it. The system will be busy and we won't actually send. So what this is doing is setting a bit, and it's waiting for the first opportunity it sees to perform that command. In this case, it's a TCP/IP connect. You notice I did it a little differently on the bottom. This is because I just wanted to display this functionality in the system. If we wanted to say just come and click it, but we did use again data export to set this bit 3. Another question is, does the download take place as soon as the connection is made? Yes, the steps that data export will take will make the connection. When it sees the connection, perform the download, and then again it will remain connected until it has reason to disconnect. In this case, we've used the setting of memory bit 3 to disconnect. Maybe we want to pair that up with some other, oops, click here. If we wanted to also erase the data table, we can set a bit based on erasing the specific data table, or we can use MB3. It's more up to the user to define. You have more options. Okay, do we have any other questions? Was everything we went over clear, or does anyone have some use that they might see but are not sure how to implement? Let me get offline with this. I should mention again, as I did last week, one thing that makes our data tables even more powerful is the external functionality we have. So we've now talked about data export and moving information out of the PLC into the PC. Of course, again, we have the CSV file or the Excel file. We also have our SD card options and capabilities. They allow us to copy 320 data table files to the SD card, or to log directly to the SD card. The SD card will be a topic of another webinar. I don't want to get too in-depth with it right now, but it will allow us to record a lot more than 120K. We can essentially fill up an SD card with information. So if we compare 120K versus 8 or 16 gigs, we can see the potential we have there. It's a lot more information. Any more questions? There's a question in which applications you suggest to use this tool to get data from the OPLC. We have people using data export in really all sorts of situations. I would say the question is more defined by what application would we say we want to use a data table for. If we're keeping track of production, we're not going to want to log information into memory integers. Maybe the data table gives us a lot better option and structure to define exactly this information that we want to save. So essentially, data export should be used anytime you want to get access to a data table on a PC. The data table should be used anytime you have information that you wish to store in the system. We've been focusing on data logging for this example, but a very powerful option is to have the use of just more variable space, more temporary storage. I'll give you an example of memory floats. If we only have 24 memory floats in a system and we need to work with more, we need to save more of them, chances are we probably don't need to work with all 24 at the same time. So we can move memory floats in and out of the data table. That gives us essentially thousands, tens of thousands of memory floats we can store in our PLC. It just depends on the structure we want to come up with and the mechanism we want to use to save and to retrieve these things. Another powerful example is a lookup table. If we have, I can give you an example of an analog input sensor that doesn't follow a linear output profile. We have a couple choices. We can use a formula function block if we can determine a formula to use, or we can use the data table as a lookup table. If we have the certain analog input value, we can search the table, find out what row it is, and read out that piece of information in the adjacent columns that pertain to that value. So there's a lot of things we can do with the data table. Another question is data export must be open to function. That's true. As we saw, data export is open here, but it is not actually going to function unless I leave it in this run state. So we should see this call log open. We can minimize it or put it in the background, but it does need to run in order to function. Okay, we do have about 10 more minutes for questions if anyone has questions, but we have covered the material that I wanted to cover today. Again, let me know if anything was unclear and we can go back to it. Or if you have a question on use again, we can discuss that. But this video and all of these files will be on our website. Again, that's under support. Let me just bring it up real quick. So we'll go to unitronics.com. We'll go there slowly, though. Are there any other questions that we wish to cover? Oh, I went to the forum, that's why. You know, I guess I can't do several things at the same time. But we noticed that if we go to our forum, Jason has added the webinars to the forum section. Under the blog section, you can find the webinar video recording, which is also on YouTube, and you can find the specific files we worked with. So we'll be saving, let me get rid of this. We'll be saving this program and this data export file.